It's the Daily Drama Podcast with Stephen Bradford, presented by DailyDrama.com, the new go-to online destination for soap opera fans. Exclusive spoilers, recaps, glimpses from behind the scenes, and the latest news in the world of daytime drama. Also, Steve and I are there, so anything can happen, right? Speaking of crazy things happening, we just got off a great weekend in Chicago and Milwaukee with our holiday tour. We have, I think, 9 shows left starting this weekend. So this Sunday we'll be in Nashville. Then we hit Boston, Albany, Levittown, Long Island, New Brunswick, Philadelphia, Sacramento, and Irvine, all between now and December 21st. So go to stonecoldandthejackal.com to get your tickets. It's a really fun show. Holiday traditions, audience participation, jokes, nonsense, a lot of fun. So stonecoldandthejackal.com for that. Our giveaways, we're going to be our first round of giveaways is coming up really quickly, really soon. So get on the email list at dailydrama.com. Go to dailydrama.com/giveaway. Really cool giveaways coming up really soon. Today we talk with our good friend Tamara Braun. I forgot to hit record for like the first 5 minutes, so we started over. So you can see how that all worked out. Here we go. Stevie B!
Bradford Anderson.
Take 2.
Press record.
Oh
Please
my
press
gosh,
record,
friends. We didn't get
Thank
too
you.
far, but we got, anyway, we have this lovely guest. We won't make her wait because she's already been talking to us for a bit. Tamara. Hi, Tamara Braun. Hi.
Tamara. I know we were 6 minutes in. We were 6 minutes into this thing and Bradford didn't press record. So
yeah, but
here we are.
Which is more than we get on soap. So
That's
hey.
right.
That's true.
You're welcome. We get another take. This is unusual for us.
But this is not another take that we want.
Well, that's the thing. That's the other thing with us is our first takes were always fantastic.
Always better. But we were talking about how Bradford and I were in your old stomping grounds where you grew up on our holiday tour this past weekend in Milwaukee and Chicago. And we were just, kind of catching up with you on how it was growing up and where you're from. So let's just start again. Bradford.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
So I was born in Chicago, and then we moved to Evanston, which is a city suburb. We're very close to Chicago. And
so are you Cubs or White Sox? South side?
It's so I was born on the south side.
Okay.
But yeah, hold on, here's a little
That's
friend.
okay.
Hi.
Let's have the friend. Let's see the friend.
Yeah.
Hey, friend.
Little.
What's the friend's name?
That's Little.
Little?
Little.
Lil.
Yeah.
Oh,
Very cute. Very
Lil,
cute.
like Lil or little?
What the heck was I saying?
You grew up
South
in
South side or
Evanston?
north side?
Yeah.
Chicago. Cubs
Cubs
are
versus White Sox.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what I'll tell you.
okay. Oh gosh.
I
Don't watch baseball.
wore a White Sox hat to a Cubs game.
Oh, how'd that go?
Ooh,
Because you just thought, oh, I'm going to a baseball game. I wear a baseball hat.
See, you understand.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
It was the only baseball cap I owned. So I was
Sure.
like, oh, I need something to keep the sun off my face. And there I went. And my friends were like, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, it's a
Right.
Cubs game. Like, what does it matter?
We're gonna get tackled.
Yeah, I had no idea. But yeah, so that tells you my
How plugged in you were to the sports scene of Chicago.
yes.
Yeah. So
amazing.
what was your introduction to the arts in Evanston, Illinois?
Well, you know what? I think I was really fortunate to grow up there. It was a really wonderful town, so close to so much culture. And actually,
Yeah.
Evanston has a lot of culture.
Yeah.
And a skate park. I confirmed it. Thank you.
And a skate park. Yeah. Did you find out where it was?
I did. No, but I did Google it while we were talking, and there's a skate park there.
So
and
were you on
Yeah.
4 wheels and roller skates, or were you on a skateboard?
No, it's a skateboard park.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I pictured you
Yeah.
with a little headband on the 4.
No, that was 1978.
He's got Tamara, have you ever seen Steve dance? When it comes to 70s music, it just flows out of him.
Yeah, it's
No.
kind of weird, right? It's kind of weird, right?
Well,
I'd
'cause,
like
like,
to do this sometime.
Yeah, he's not the most like he's not like you're not gonna find him in the middle of the
No.
floor generally.
No,
But when you get
normally
him,
it's like Herman Munster dancing.
but when 70s
But
music comes on, there's something.
it's something about it. Yeah,
there's like a beat
it's
that
something
just
happens, dude.
like I don't know.
Well,
I know it
Bradford and
works.
I are like doing it. We're like at the
Yeah, you guys are going. I need
park,
to
but
hear it.
you aren't.
I need to
We're at
hear
the
it. This is
actual,
amazing.
roller rink. That's where I used to have my birthday parties.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, roller rinks, they're back, aren't they? Aren't they kind of
They
back?
are kind of back. Yeah, I took
No, I
Brooklyn
know
to
there's
one. It was
one
pretty
over.
cool.
Yeah, like there's one I don't know what the heck it's called, but not far from where I live, and I'm like,
I know.
It's
It's-
fun. It's fun. You pick it up real quick.
yeah, you get back
Real
to. So I want
quick.
to get the pom poms on my. I want
Yeah.
the old school
The old
lace
school.
up 70s.
Yeah, you're gonna have
But
to go on Amazon for those.
The injuries are so much worse at our age, though.
No,
I
you know
mean-
what? And we're gonna let Tamara talk. But
Okay.
you know, back then when we learned how to roller skate,
Mhm.
we didn't have those things that look like walkers to stand up and learn. So
what
now
is
if you go first timers like kids and stuff, they make these like walkers out of PVC pipes to give them, whatever help. And I'm like, that's not how it goes.
Well, and you also
No,
don't learn how to fall.
fall down.
You don't learn how to fall.
You don't get practice falling.
Yeah, and your bruises heal quickly. Like back to.
And remember when you would hit into multiple people and there was a pile up and you'd have to go
No.
around? It was awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Tamara, how'd you get into the arts? Sorry,
Oh,
we just
God.
went off.
As I was saying, I think that it's, I grew up in Evanston, which is close to Chicago. Chicago has great culture.
Yeah.
Same thing with Evanston. Lots of cultural centers and museums and theater and music, and it's really prevalent there.
Right.
And my mom was very instrumental in exposing me to that. We used to go into the city and go see plays, usually musicals.
Awesome.
I honestly did not know that there were plays without dancing and singing.
Well, nor should there be.
Yes,
No.
there should be, sir.
I mean, it is more fun with it.
That's right.
It is fun. It is fun. I'm
That's
just
right.
starting. I'm just starting to see Broadway shows for the first time in my life. So it's
Really?
it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, huge respect for those actors grinding those shows out like that.
8
I'm like,
times
wait,
a
wait, we just finished a matinee and you got to do this again in 3 hours?
week.
Mm-hmm.
Major
What do you-
respect.
Yes.
Major
Huge respect. I mean, the discipline and it's just crazy. So
So
Yeah.
at what point, being, obviously having access to a lot of great resources in that city, when did you start did you dance when you were younger? Did you take classes? Did you get involved in the
Yeah.
school stuff or what was your
I did. So I was in gymnastics, but I did dance when I was young, a little bit more so. I used to dance at Gus Giordano. For anyone who's in Evanston, you know who that
All
is.
right. Is that the famous name in Evanston?
Yes. But I
Yeah.
took a couple classes there, but it didn't stick really for me. I mean, I was definitely not going to be a prima ballerina.
Mm.
And
it's a
but it was
hard
just
life,
more-
right? That's a hard life.
Oof.
Man, I can't even imagine.
It's
Talk about discipline.
tough on your body. And the
Yeah.
ceiling of where you can get to is not that high. And it's
Not
so
for the work you put in.
short-lived.
The compensation's not great.
That's right.
No, but it's a
Yeah.
passion for people,
It's a
right?
Of course,
passion.
of course.
Yeah,
It has
yeah,
to be. It has
sure.
to be for sure. Yeah.
But that wasn't mine. It was like you guys have kids, you put your kids in stuff and they like
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
If they don't, it's something to do. It's fun. So I was in that, and I did gymnastics. I really took to gymnastics quite a bit. But then my mom was like, I always wanted to take theater classes. I
Oh,
just but I was not the kind of kid who was going to ask, for that.
Sure.
And so I remember the Piven Theater Workshop was a huge group. Jeremy Piven, his family.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
They're the best. And it's really such a great thing for children. It's just, it's not like, we want to become an actor.
No, it's just
kids something to do. But a lot of people
Yeah.
did come there,
right.
Yeah, for sure.
all the Cusacks and anyway, but so I had friends who would do that, and I was so envious.
Mm.
I never ever asked for it because I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to be a problem. I didn't want to, whatever. What was being offered was gymnastics or dance and I'm certain if I had asked, can I switch? They would have, let me try it. But
Of
anyways,
course. Yeah.
but so it wasn't really until I had always wanted to, but just didn't. And so when I went to college, well, actually, it was in high school, when schools come in and you can take off a period or two or whatever to go like talk to colleges. And I was like, oh, I just don't want to go to English now. So let's see. Oh,
Right.
so-and-so college is coming. So I remember sitting down, and I was sitting with next to a friend of mine, James Meredith. And in junior high, we would sing at the talent shows and that stuff. And he was involved in theater in school.
Yeah.
And I remember looking over, and it said what his major was, and it said theater. And I was like,
You could do that?
exactly my thought process.
That's amazing.
And like you're allowed to, your parents will let you, or
That's not a practical choice. Why would they let you do
Wait a
that?
minute.
Yeah.
right?
There's no future there.
Oh God. And bless you, James Meredith. He works in Chicago still a lot. Does
Wow.
a lot of voiceover. He was on Broadway and stuff.
Awesome.
But yeah, shout out to James.
Yeah.
But I remember that moment being like, oh, okay, I can't do that. Right? Like amazing, but I can't do that. So
Sure.
psychology.
Psychology. Well, that's useful too.
It is useful.
I mean, knowing where you ended up, that's pretty useful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, okay, that's what I'll do. And at one point, I thought, okay, well, I'll be a psychologist for the deaf, and I'll be a child psychologist for the deaf, and we will role play. We would like that's where I'll get drama. That's where I'll get
Wow. That's really cool.
And that's what I thought for a while I would do. And I went to school, and I was taking as many classes as I could in drama, and I was like teaching kids drama, and like little children, and but I was so unfulfilled because that's all I wanted to do. And
kids aren't fun to hang out with.
Oh, kids are great. I love kids. I used to nanny. I started babysitting at 10 years old.
When you have them, you don't love them. It's so much. No, I'm kidding. That's a joke.
Who lets their children be babysat by a 10-year-old?
That's old school, because I knew some growing up. I knew some 10, 11, 12-year-olds that would babysit like multiple kids.
Like other people's kids or like their younger siblings?
No, other people's kids. Babysitting was a big job back then, but they started way younger.
Yeah. I literally was babysitting like a 9-month-old at 10 years old.
Yeah, and no, not
parents were gone, or were you like a mom's helper?
I wasn't just
gone.
there while they were in the other. I mean, I would do that sometimes too.
Yeah.
Go away for dinner and come back.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I
they're
imagine
okay. The kid's okay, right?
Alive as far as I know.
Right, there we go.
Right.
Yeah.
I imagine you would have been a pretty trustworthy 10-year-old. I think 10-year-old Tamara, I think I would have trusted.
I was.
Yeah.
But
wow.
But I would have, I mean, if I had a child, there's no way. I mean, like mom's helper, sure.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe at 12. But
anyway. So working with kids was unfulfilling, so you were looking for something else.
Studying psychology was unfulfilling.
Oh, okay.
That's true.
So
well, you could probably use it on some of the characters you play. So
100%, but I thought to myself, I was taking as many classes as I could in drama, and I was going to so many plays that I couldn't be a part of because I wasn't my major, and everything just broke my heart. I like literally, it was like an ache.
Yeah.
I mean, so
what was the breaking point to follow the dream?
My second year in.
Yeah.
I was just like,
you're like, forget it. I'm doing it. I'm going for
done.
it. Was there one day? Do you remember one day where you're like, this is it. I'm making the decision right here and now.
I do.
Awesome.
And we don't have the time to get into what.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Yeah. But usually that's interesting though, that there were finally all this build up, right? And you're stuffing it down since you were a kid, essentially. And then there was one day, one defining moment that changed everything.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
I just was like, I have to, because if I don't do this and try, I'm going to regret this rest of my life.
Well, and that's, I think for all of us that have answered that question, like how, I want to do this. How do I do this? The first question is, well, do you have to? And do you know what I mean? Because otherwise, if you don't feel that passion, like you say, man, is it a tough road. So like, so cool that you identified it and listened to it. And um, yeah.
Yeah, here's
And
where
My
we won't
passion.
get too we won't get too deep into it, but I like, the psychology of that alone, of knowing, I didn't know you as a kid, but you're just giving us glimpses of, you don't want to step on anybody's toes, you didn't want to be a burden to people, and all these things finally got to a point where you were like, I'm following my passion.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it was huge. And because
That's a huge deal.
I was like the responsible kid, right? I was
Yeah.
to do what I needed. I didn't want to, like you were saying, as you caught from what I've said, I didn't want to be the problem. I wanted to do what was expected,
Hmm.
and I wanted to follow. I wanted to make
Follow
mom,
suit.
grandparents,
Yeah.
whatever
Make
proud.
everybody happy. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, not
Yeah.
cause any problems. And so, yeah, it was interesting is when I spoke to my mom about it, and I was just like, this is what's going on. And my father, they weren't married, but he was like, well, can't you just
Mm.
finish out and school, and then if it's still what you want, do it. And I was like, I know myself too well.
mm,
I will continue
Good
the
for you.
trajectory.
yeah,
you
Good for
know
you.
I know that I
Yeah.
won't do it. And so I left, and I was talking to my mom about it, and she said, listen, I have one regret in my life. And she said, that's major. And she said that I stopped dancing.
Mm.
And she was very
Mm.
passionate about dancing, and she loved it, and it was everything for her. And she had, teachers who really pushed her and saw the potential in her. And one day they moved, and she found another teacher, and the teacher wasn't right. Whatever it was, she
yeah, yeah,
Sure.
eventually stopped. She was allowed to
Stopped. Yeah.
stop,
yeah.
Yeah.
and she didn't pursue what was in her heart and her passion. And she said, I don't want you to carry those regrets with you.
Wow.
She said, here's the deal.
Uh huh.
You can come home. She said, but you have to get a job. Okay. She said, she goes, you find a teacher, you study, and you give everything you possibly can give to it. So that if you don't make it, and the likelihood is very high, she said, but that you've done everything possible. So you
Wow.
don't have those regrets. She's like,
It's awesome.
do not fuck around, if we allowed to swear on this. And I was like,
Mm.
down, kid, what are you talking about?
Right. Yeah.
But she, it was like,
Wow.
the job, do be smart, you can stay here, but you need to give it everything. And it was the best, because I had that support, yet I also, was being responsible. And then I literally took it like it was conservatory. I took every class I could in Chicago. I found
Awesome.
great classes,
So you did leave because you were at University of Wisconsin, is that right?
Madison, yeah.
Yeah. So you did
Wow.
leave.
That's
So you
awesome.
didn't change majors. You left and focused on. Okay.
And
Got
I
it.
tell you why I left, because I wouldn't necessarily suggest this for somebody, right?
Sure.
But I left because I was already a sophomore, and it's
Just
it's you can't
no.
you can't catch up. It was your major, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't have been able to get the degree you wanted in those remaining 2 years. That would have been impossible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I read somewhere that you did a summer, and I thought it was in this process of your training or at part of your university at Royal Academy.
Yeah, I did.
So, but that was not through your university. That was just a set. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so I the first man I studied with, Ted Liss, who was wonderful. A year into it, and I had just moved up into the advanced kind of class with the working actors and stuff. I showed up at class. We were in class and we're waiting. And Ted was the kind of man who, he was old school. By the time I got to him, he was already 70 years old. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, he was known for classes going till 2 a.m. and, like really intense. And so like if you showed up 60 seconds late, you,
Still
Right.
when he was 70?
oh yeah.
Oh, I was like, maybe you're getting the kinder Ted.
Oh,
Hey.
I mean, I think apparently I was.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But
Yeah.
you forget it. I mean, like I literally, the first class I sat in to watch, he made someone cry.
Mm.
And but honestly, it wasn't, he just let me make someone cry. She didn't do her work. He called her
Sure.
on it.
Yeah.
And it was the kind of class which was perfect for me, because I was
Sure.
a student who wanted to do the right thing. So I had
Sure.
Absolutely.
so when, so showed up and we're in class and where's Ted? Because he was always there, and is he in his office? He's not in his office. What's going on? And a woman who had been studying with him on and off for many, many years walked in and was like, where is he? He had died.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, horrible. I mean, not to bring the room down, but
no, but
Yeah.
yeah.
We were studying Shakespeare at the time, and Ted had a real, I mean, he was just like, you need the classics, you need to know Shakespeare, like this, you need your base.
Yeah.
And so I had a dear friend, bless you, Leah, she just passed a couple of years ago, who was in class with me, and she said, I was like, wow, what are we going to do? And she's like, we're going to go to RADA. I was like, what? We have to finish our base. Ted taught there. We have to go. And I was like, okay, how do we do this? And it was, an audition kind of process, and we had missed it time-wise.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But his wife had taught there with him, and she wrote letters for us.
And it worked out?
We got in, and
Wow, nice.
And we went, and it was the best experience ever. I wanted it to be the 4 year. There, I was like more than happy to say, all right, I'll do the 4 year.
Sure. Because that was was that just a few months? Was it summer or was it a?
Yeah. And my director there, Jeff Bullen, he's like, what are you going to do now? I know Ted has passed. What are you going to do? I was like, well, I'd love to come and study here, can I? He's like, no. I was like, oh, I'm not good enough. And he's like, nope, you could come, you would get in. He's like, but you need to go and learn while doing. He goes, go out there and go work and get practical experience. I was like, but he's like, no, go. Which I thought was insane, but
So you went back to Chicago, or where'd you go from there? Yeah.
Back to Chicago for a year, maybe a year and a half. Now, somewhere in the city, and then I decided, all right, New York or LA, and
there you go.
Like, I'm not a hoofer, and it's going to be warm in Los Angeles, and I grew up in the cold, so I thought, what the heck, I'll go. And you're like 2 people.
Hello, friends. To celebrate the very first episode of the Daily Drama Podcast with Steve and Brad, we are going to do some giveaways.
We are. We're going to give you some free stuff. These awesome T-shirts that we're going to sign, merch from your favorite shows, books, coffee mugs, and private virtual meet and greet with
us?
With us.
That sounds amazing.
That's right. So go to dailydrama.com/giveaway, and you'll see all the information there. Enter for free.
That's right. And we will announce winners on future episodes of the Daily Drama Podcast with Steve and Brad. So keep listening and keep watching.
And how'd you end up getting an agent there?
So crazy. I ended up, so when I was visiting out here in LA, and they called 2 people that I knew, I had a call from my agents in Chicago.
Okay,
perfect.
Like,
you have an audition. And I thought, and this is back, in the day where they'd send faxes and everything. You'd have to go to a place.
Amazing.
They sent a fax on over for this audition. And I thought it was for when I got home, but, they were sending it to me so I could prepare it on the flight home or whatever. Right. It was actually for in LA while I was here.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was crazy. I think it was at where we are, Steve. I think it was over
Burbank?
Burbank, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Remembering this. That is so crazy. And so I went into the room and I read, and Robin was the casting director, was like, she looked at me, she goes, "You're good." And I was like, "Thank you."
That was a surprise. Like, wow.
And she goes, "No, like, you're really good." And I was like, "Thank you." And she's like, "Okay." She says, all right, I'm gonna hire you. And I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, I know, right then and there." And I was like, wow. Well, she goes, "Yeah, they said that that I can hire direct." But then she had to call. It looks crazy. I was like, "Oh my God." I called my agent and I was like, "She hired me. I got the job." And they're like, what do you no, you have a callback.
That's not how it works usually. Yeah, right. Yeah. Right.
And I was like, well, no, that's what I asked. But she said I actually booked the job. It was a small little thing. It was for 3 women, 3 girls. And she could hire me. And they said, we don't think that's what it is. Hold on. So they called Rob, and she said, oh, you did book it, and it works these days. Then the next day they called me, and they're like, they had to take the job away because they all had to be blonde. I was very dark brown. It's like, I would have dyed my hair. But,
right. Ask me first. Jeez.
Yeah,
right?
no kidding, huh?
That's what I did for Carly. They're like, would you dye your hair?
Yeah.
I was like, oh. But
that's amazing.
But she was really cool because she's like, are you going, you're definitely moving here? Like when she, said, I'm going to give it to you. She said, are you actually moving here? I said, yes, in 6 months, I'll be here. I just came out to check it out and see what it was like. And she said, okay. She said, I'll help you find an agent.
Awesome.
So,
great.
Yeah,
the good old days.
Well, like every success story generally has, some generosity on, and you can call it luck, you can call generosity of spirit, human kindness, whatever. It touches you at some point, right, or multiple points. Someone has to see something in you.
Someone has to believe in you.
Believe in you, yeah. And
I didn't get any of the agents she sent me to, though.
Hey, but it was a start.
And I was, it's just like, it wasn't like, oh, casting director saw me and then I got an agent. She sent me to people and they're like, we have too many people like you. And I was like, with a
there's no one like me. Come on. Yes.
Well, and they had resumes because they were here. I had Chicago, very little credits of like doing commercials and industrials because that's back then. That's all.
Yeah,
that was
sure.
So what year was it that you really started? I mean, I know you got GH in what,
2001 is when I got GH.
Wow.
And I moved out in 94.
Wow. Yeah.
So it took 6 years for me, but I put a timeline for myself, certain things I needed to
accomplish,
continue. To continue, and goals I had set for myself. And
awesome.
And I had a 5-year plan, but it didn't happen. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna give it one more. And I'd book, I'd book a, guest star here, a recurring there. I'd test for things, but it wouldn't happen.
Sure. Yeah.
I did commercials, I did little things, but I was always waiting tables. I was always at a hotel or whatever it was. And but I just, was like, all right, at a certain point, and everyone at, my waiting tables at the hotel was like, you work all the time. Like, no, I don't. Why would I be here? Like if I'm working,
right. Yeah, well, that's the thing is like, I'm not sure, I'm not sure everyone that watches television they're hearing about our labor disputes now. So maybe people have more of an idea of what an actor's life is, but you can be seen on TV multiple times a year and still need a side job. Like,
I worked with a guy who I guess he recurred or was for many years on 90210, the original.
Yeah.
And we would do these big parties and people would be like, oh my God, you. And I was like, that's so cool. He's like, no, it's not.
No, that's really
You're doing this, and I was like,
yeah. I mean, God bless him for keeping it up.
Yeah. I mean,
that's awesome.
You gotta pay. You gotta pay bills, and
absolutely. Well, if you have a good side gig and you might be loath to let it go because not every job lasts forever generally. And so, like, hang on to that side gig because when this thing ends, I'll be right. So
I was airing as Carly for over a year. When they finally took me off at the Four Seasons where I used to work.
Oh, nice.
I was like, because I was on call. I was like, can you put me on call?
Right.
And I even worked while I was airing as Carly because they had been so good to me.
Sure. Yeah.
Pretty getting recognized, because back in the day it was like
a bigger deal than
just
bigger deal. A bigger deal.
It was just bizarre. And they're like, can you come? And I'd work. And then as I started to get recognized more, I didn't want to be like my friend who I finally was like, oh, I understand.
Sure.
Not that there's no embarrassment or shame. I mean, the utmost gratitude, right?
Oh, of course.
Sure, of course. Yeah.
But it was an awkward conversation to them.
Well, because the people that you're waiting on are all going to be like, why are you here?
Yeah.
And like to
Yeah,
have
don't
to
you make $1 million? To
have to
Yeah.
explain that to say that
I
over
know.
and over again is hard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So we
let me ask you this-
understand
oh,
when you became
yeah.
like a major character on a soap opera, giving up your job. We get
Oh,
it.
I didn't want to let it go because I was like, everyone's
Yes.
like, oh, you have a job. Your contract's 4 years. I was like, oh, I have a job for 13 weeks. And then after the first year, I have a job for every 26 weeks. And then
Yes.
that's
Totally.
We do know the game.
Yes.
but most people don't, right? So.
Was let me ask you this question. We'll go back to GH for a second, but on Days was Ava? Was that a recast or no?
No, my original character.
You're the original. Okay, great. So
was-
so did you have any, coming in, did you have any even perspective of what a recast is, or what your thinking process was to play
For Carly.
for Carly?
I didn't even know it was a recast. I didn't know what I was auditioning.
Yeah, so that's
Sure.
good.
Yeah, thank goodness. Right.
That's good,
Because
yeah.
I it was so like it was the character's name was Sarah. And so
Interesting.
and so it's so funny because I'd gone on auditions because like oh God, this is so weird. That same guy I was talking about, his name's Cliff, but at the Four Seasons.
Yeah.
At work. And he says to me, because he was getting the breakdown, like, you weren't supposed to do that, but he had
people that were getting the breakdowns on the
Yeah,
side.
you're
I remember
getting on
that.
the black market breakdown.
Yeah.
Yes. And so he says to me, he goes,
Actors are hustlers, bro. So,
What's that?
I said actors are hustlers.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he said,
Yeah.
oh, I saw on the breakdown today, Mark Teschner's looking for you. And I was like, what? And he said, yeah. He said, who's ever representing Tamara Braun, please contact.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I had
got
to
goosebumps on that.
Yeah.
That's
been years
crazy.
before. I was like, that's weird.
Wow.
And he said, so you should call your manager or whatever. And so
You think?
yeah, I was like, my friend told me. He said, yep, I actually. And so he had been looking for me because I had auditioned for him over the years. And apparently the first time I went in, he wrote a note down that if Sarah was ever to leave, that I would be a good.
Wow. That's
possible,
pretty cool.
Yeah. So
that's a good story.
Yeah, it's like, oh, notes. And I remember the first time I read for him.
Yeah.
I had I had ideas of what I wanted to do, in terms of my acting career, and it was very lofty and it involved film.
Right. Right.
It always does for all of us.
Yep. Yeah.
Tamara.
Yep.
And I had this audition for General Hospital, and I was like, oh, I don't really. Oh, okay, I'll go on the audition, but I don't really want to do it. So,
right.
And
Yes.
and I went to this audition, and I left after reading with Mark, and I called my agent and I said, I will read any day of the week with that man. I said, I went in. I said, I felt like, acting was an honorable profession. He respects actors. He actually read with me.
I know I mean, we've been, especially you and I, Tamara, because of Marnie and Mark, like you have the two greatest, most caring, most actor friendly champions.
Yeah.
Casting directors, like literally, like,
yeah. They
put you.
They want you to
they
do
root
well.
for you. And that's amazing. You feel that energy too.
Oh yeah.
And because I'm sure, like, people who are watching who aren't actors or aren't in this, it's like sometimes people will literally be eating their food, not caring. They're reading it like they really have someplace else to be. The opposite you, and it's like you're so over it.
Oh boy, I know. I've been in a lot of those rooms.
Yeah. So I was just like, oh, I feel so great. So like after that first audition, and that was years before I got this, oh, he's looking for you. And then I went in and I read, and it was great to see him. And he walked out, he goes, you're hard to find. And I was like, what? And he's like, that when you change agents or managers, you're supposed to register that with the union or blah, blah, what. I mean, it was just so different. We didn't have IMDb.
Sure.
No, we had nothing.
Right.
We had Samuel French.
You're supposed to send a postcard to everybody.
We had Samuel French.
Exactly.
We had the casting director list at Samuel French that you could buy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So crazy.
I didn't do any of that. And I was at this point where I was just like not I was like, what am I going to do in my life again? Because it's
Right.
just
One of those
I was
turning points.
already
Yeah.
it had been 2 years and I hadn't booked anything. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, and you know what keeps I think what kept me going and what I think keeps so many actors going is the little bite every once in a while.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
that little
Yeah.
hit. Okay.
100%.
You know, there are some people who just book immediately and they have great careers and they act forever, but most of us don't, you know, and it's a little job here and there. It's a little opportunity. It's, you know, just to keep that juice, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just that glimmer of hope. You're like, oh, it could happen still.
Yes, that
Just,
keeps you in the
a
game.
little. Yes. Yeah. It's
So I
amazing.
was at this point of being like, I don't want.
So did you end up, I can't remember. Did you end up testing for it?
Yeah. So I had like 3 or 4 auditions and I kept going in. And I was like, again, I was always happy to read with Mark because.
Sure.
Right. It's a joy.
Right?
Yeah. It's working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, then they wanted, but this was a process. It was like, I want to say a good 6 months from the original reading to they want to test you. Like, so everyone's in.
Everybody, like when I auditioned, it was every producer came in, you auditioned for different producers. Like everybody in the building got to know you really well before a decision was made. Which was interesting to me. I mean, obviously you tested. I didn't test whatever. That's a story for a different day. But you tested. So, but like you said, the process there was just, you know, you just kept. When I read for first, I read for AJ, didn't get it because I was too young. But then Jason. But I read 6 or 7 times, and then we tested. For
6
Jason.
or 7 times for Jason.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. With Mark. And then it was Gloria Monty. And then other producers were in the room. And then come back again. They're not sure on you guys. And come back again. It was just a crazy, crazy process. So
yeah, it is weird. And then so much time. I don't know about you, but so much time is in between those. You're like, okay, whatever. And it went from like, I love Mark. Let me just go read a good fun time feel. And then it went to, okay, another one, great, you know. And then I remember like 3rd or the 4th, I think it was like the 4th. I think I read 4 times and then it was a test. And I remember going in, you know, but the first few times it was just like, okay, I'm happy to be here, you know, just do.
Yeah.
And then it became, I remember sitting in the room and there were a bunch of women in the room. And there's an energy that you guys know about. Like there's people wanting something. So feeling you know, you can feel some desperation and you can feel just that need and I was like, I'm not feeling good with this energy. And I was like, ooh, and I don't want this, you know. And there's a fine line between going, I want to do a good job and I want to do what I need to in the room, but I don't want or need this because that's a killer. And I felt that in the room, something felt gross to me. And I was like, and I had gone back in and they had, for that particular reading, and they're like, we need her to dress differently, because I had been doing roles where they were a lot younger than I was. And so it was like more kid roles, college roles, you know. And I was like, I need lady clothes.
Well, you know what?
Chico's, here I come.
Well, but you know what? I hate that. I'm like, in the place that I'm in, I'm like, oh, great, you have a customer, right?
You have a what?
You have a costumer, right? You have a costume. Oh, no problem. You have a costume designer,
that's
right?
now. You wouldn't have said that then.
No, I wouldn't. But do you know what I mean? Like, have an imagination, people. Sometimes that's all I want to say. Sometimes to people that are casting shows, not our show. I'm not saying,
but people have to see it sometimes. In all fairness, I know you're bitter nowadays.
No, but I'm just saying.
Now your face is getting more red than mine. Just calm down, dude.
I'm getting impassioned. Yes. Yeah.
No, but that's the thing. Yeah. I actually went to Nordstrom and I bought a blouse because I knew that you could return it. So I was just like, okay, I will borrow it. It's so wrong. I shouldn't do that. I'm doing it. I got to do it. And I spent I remember it was $75. And I was like, that is not what I spend on a blouse, you know, or on a top. And so I got it, but you know, and I wore it. And I remember sitting in the room, I was like, oh, I need to be more womanly. So I'm wearing the blouse. I'm wearing I put like the chicken cutlets in my bra, you know, to make me look like I got more boobs. So I'm like, oh, I'm a woman. I gotta have boobs. Soap. I'm not soap. I don't look like a soap actor, you know, like that. Because I had this whole idea of what it was, you know.
Sure.
Blonde and really American, blonde, you know, blue-eyed, white-looking, you know, just buxom, different than what I was, is what I thought. And I was like, oh, now this is what they want. So I got to get the lady blouse. I got to do all this. And so I left after that room of like desperation. I was walking out, and there's windows which were kind of mirrored, and I caught a glimpse of myself. And I was just like, I was disgusted.
Really?
Yeah, I was just like, I don't want this. I don't like this. I kind of like with when you asked me, Steve, you know, that moment, like I had to do it, like become an actor, like go after my dream. This was the moment that I knew I was done. Leaving that audition.
Whoa.
And I went home, and I did not live far from the studio. It took me a very short amount of time to get home. And I went into my room. I started to take, and I was literally having a fit. Yeah. I was so upset. I was so heartbroken, and I was crying. And I took the chicken cutlets. I threw them across the room.
Wait, were there real chicken cutlets?
No.
Like, okay.
I'm just, things
yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. That's funny though that they do look like chicken cutlets.
That's what they look like, you know.
Yeah.
Like the silicone, you know.
I'm like, there's a salmonella problem here. You can't be putting chicken cutlets down there.
Yeah. Maybe you weren't feeling good because you poisoned.
Maybe. Yeah.
So that was it. You were done.
That was it, and I was done. And I got into the bed, and I laid there, and I cried, and I went to sleep. And my boyfriend at the time came home and was like, "What are you doing in bed?" And I was just like, "I'm done. I can't do this anymore. It's over. You know, I don't know what I'm going to do." And maybe, you know, I had a massage therapy license at the time, and I was thinking, well, maybe I'll go to Colorado, get my license there, and I'll just sit on a mountain, and I will do, you know, work in the healing arts. And I can't.
It's so funny. Every actor being in the business for so long, everyone just wants to get away.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's just like, I've had enough. I'm done. I don't care anymore. I'm out of here. Like, just get me somewhere. Like,
it's not like
just peaceful and calm and just, yeah.
You don't have to get, well, it's constant rejection. And Ted, my first teacher, the one I told you about, he said to me before I took class, he goes, "Are you hungry?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he went through all this stuff. He went through the statistics about like 6% of people in the business make a living, and you know, it's a hard life and all this. You know, he basically said any and everything he could to keep me from doing it. You know, he goes, and here's the thing, he goes, rejection, it's constant rejection. But the thing is, the only way you can make it through all this rejection is you cannot take it personally, because it's not personal. I always carried that with me. And so I made a goal of myself that I would not take, as much as it hurt, as much as, you know, not getting close to things and not getting, and, you know, working hard and not getting, that I wasn't going to take it personally. It wasn't going to be a reflection on me as an individual.
Yeah.
And I was okay. You know, it was sometimes a hard thing, but I always kept that going.
Yeah, it's hard not to take it personally.
And then I realized, started taking it personally, and that's when I left. And I was like, I'm okay. This is what I said to myself all these years ago, and now I need to be done. And so when my boyfriend came in, and he was like, and to make a very long story short now, because I know I'm going on way too long, but the phone kept ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing, and I didn't answer it. And remember, we used to have like answering services connected to like our speakers, or we had phones, but I don't know, whatever. And so he said, "You really should get it. It keeps ringing." And I was like, "Oh, finally." I answer, and it had been my manager's office calling. And it was the assistant. She's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Mm-hmm." I did not. "You don't sound okay." I was like, "No, I'm fine." And she's like, "Okay, hold on. Let me get, you know, your manager." She puts her on the phone, and my manager was not nice to me ever. And she's like, "Hey, Tam." And I was like, "Hey." She's like, "You okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." She's like, "You don't sound okay." I was like, "No." I was like, "Listen." And all of a sudden I start crying. And I would never do that with her, because she was so mean to me.
Right.
And so she's like, oh, she goes, honey, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I need to leave the business. I can't do it. She goes, honey, she goes, I hear you. I don't know how you guys do it. I could never do it, do what you do. She's like, that's why I'm on this, end of it. She says, and I understand. She goes, but I'm going to let you know the reason I'm calling is GH wants to test you.
Wow. And you still had to do a test after all that.
God.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I said no. I said no to the test, you guys. I said no. I said no. And she goes, what? She goes, well, come on. I said, I can't do it. I'm done. I can't handle it anymore. I'm done. And she's like, listen. She goes, it's fine. If you're done, you're done. I completely get it. She's like, you don't have to do the test. It's the thing is there's 5 other girls or something. She's like, the likelihood of you getting it is slim. She's like, but you may want to just go to the test and finish it and be like, all right, I've finished it out, and then you can go off and do massage in Colorado.
Right.
But then you'll at least have completion.
Yeah.
And I was like, she it was pulling teeth, but she finally, obviously, she got me to do the test.
Right.
And
there you go.
There it is.
So
I mean, it's one of those. Thank you. You're not done yet.
Well, it's interesting, like thinking about like your road to working and that little bit of Shakespeare and that kind of and knowing kind of the actor that you are, like, man, daytime is a pretty good place for someone with your skill set.
Oh, daytime's a good place for most people. I mean,
right?
But I mean, if you can cut it.
Well, I just think about the characters. I think about the characters that you've created and the your spectrum of emotion in your characters is broader than I think a lot of spectrums are with characters in daytime. I think, and I that's a testament to your skill, but I think it's also a testament to your what you've seen and what you've watched and your idea of what performance is. Like you didn't come into the medium going, oh, we go from here to here, or we go from here to here. We can go from here to here to here to here. Like, I don't know. And so like so that's just kind of an observation after getting to talk to you and learning more about you. So I don't know what to do with that. I'm just observing. Thanks.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, I think that, one of the things I was taught earlier on too is, look at every character as look at yourself as a character actor. And I've always kind of looked at myself like that because I never thought I'd be leading lady. I always thought I was the goofy sidekick, which is funny. Yeah. I rarely got cast as, I did when I was younger. Right. But well, kind of more in theater, I guess. But, but I didn't, that's not what I get cast as here. Right. But I always thought,
no, you get cast as 2 mafia princesses.
Yeah, I'm typecast as mafia.
I'm like, what? It's the same thing. Not the same thing, but it's pretty amazing. Like you played obviously Carly on General Hospital, and then you go to Days, and I'm sure Marnie was like,
I'm in the mafia.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But how cool is that though to play those types of characters?
I love it because to me it's just. They're very layered,
Yeah.
And I like to like my characters, even if they don't. And that's the thing, right? Like we have the choice as actors to create whatever we want in any role, how little or big, to give layers, to give background, to give 3 dimensions, to, go to what you were saying, Bradford, of, here to here to here to here. It's like, no, this is a real human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what makes this human tick? Where did this person, and if you have some history, like when I played Carly on GH, I literally sat down with Elizabeth Forte, she was head at the time.
She's still there.
And I said, I don't watch, I don't know this. I don't know her work, and quite, frankly, I don't want to watch Sarah's work, ask for any tapes. I said, well, if I booked this, it was because obviously I had something that was similar. But I don't know the history. I literally sat in her office and took 12 pages of notes on a yellow legal pad to know what the history was, so I could figure out what made her tick, what made her who she was.
Right.
And I think that, I mean, there was a little bit given in terms of Ava. I mean, when they called, they're like, we want kind of a cross between Glenn Close's character in Fatal Attraction and Angelina Jolie in Girl Interrupted.
Wow.
She was like kookaroo when I
no pressure.
I mean,
I was like,
2 Oscar-winning performances, make it happen. Let's go.
Yes.
Right.
I was just like, well, those are interesting. Those are such interesting roles, and it was just for 6 months, and I thought, okay,
that's a lot of work.
I can do that.
Can you give me at least a 4-year deal if I'm going to do that?
Oh no, I actually wanted the opposite. I only wanted 6 months.
No, Tamara's. This is what's amazing. All right, so let's just touch on GH. You were there 2001 to 2005. 5. And then when did Days kind of pop up? The first time.
2008.
Oh wow.
Okay, cool. So 2008.
Yeah, I was working doing other stuff, and then we had the writers' strike, and then I guess right around there or after there, yeah.
Yeah, so Tamara's great because it's amazing. She's like, give me the shortest contract possible, please. Because I don't want to be stuck. Thank you so much. It's amazing. It really is amazing. But it just shows how far, because you're right. Listen, here's the bottom line. In this business, especially daytime, we know our contracts could be 4 years, but they're 13 weeks at a time.
Totally.
Until you're somewhere long enough where they're like, oh, okay, we'll give you 26 weeks.
26, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it doesn't matter if 4-year contracts means literally nothing.
No. Right.
But to go to them and go, hey, yeah, no, we want to sign you for a year. No. 13 weeks.
Right.
No, they were like, it's a 6-month deal. And I was like, okay.
Okay, 6 months. Yeah. I know it's funny to commit, now to commit, you're like, nah, I'm good. Like, thank you. But yeah, 6 months is awesome. But
for me, it wasn't even about like, oh, I mean, I guess there was that I don't want to do long-term right now. But the reason I didn't want to do long-term on that role on Ava initially is like, I was concerned what it would do to me mentally, play that role for an extended period of time. So I knew that.
We saw what it did to Maurice. No, I'm saying it in a truthful way, because
I don't know what you mean. I mean,
I'm saying when you're given an actor like Maurice, who's very method, and you're giving him breakdowns to play on the show, you're messing with fire.
Right?
Fire. I don't know, not all the time, but he did it multiple times. That's all I'm saying. So being worried about your mental state is a concern.
Good for you for knowing yourself in that way.
Like, how long do I have to carry this? What do I have to do? Am I going to beat myself up and be in pain for every single day? Because, I guess I don't want to say downfall, but part of our job is that it's a 3-month story and you're living it for every day for 3 months. And it's not always easy. It's not always easy. So it's hard to shake it off sometimes. I can tell you that, living it for so long, not being able to shake it off until I literally left the show and going, oh, wait, this is what it's like out here. Like, you know what I mean? To breathe and go, oh, wow. Okay. There's more to it.
There's more outside in this world other than.
Yes.
Well, yeah. And back in those days, like we were there for, it was like.
Oh, it was long.
All consuming. It was like we didn't have breaks like
no breaks. Yeah.
And it was constant, and
but it worked. It worked.
And it was cool for me going, doing Beyond Salem and then coming to Days to finish off. Originally, I was coming on to Days to finish the Beyond Salem story with Bo and Hope.
Okay.
So originally there was a Beyond Salem, and then they were going to do another Beyond Salem until Days went to Peacock.
Oh, okay.
Then they're like, hey, will you just come and finish this story on here with Christian Alfonso,
Christian and
Peter. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, sure. That sounds like fun. And then they're like, well, will you sign for 6 months, whatever it was, 6 months and 6 months. I said, yeah, sure. I'll sign. And then I'm there and they're like, we're thinking of bringing Tamara back. I'm like, yes, let's go. It'd be so much fun. So much fun. And it was so much, like we're having so much fun. Yeah, it really is. It's just great to be in different places in our lives and all the things that happen when you mature and hopefully grow as human beings. It's been an amazing experience to be on another show first and foremost and do something different, but to reconnect and really be able to have a trust with each other and really, and that's one of the biggest things in acting is if you trust your partner, you can have the vulnerability needed majority of the time. So it's like, that's been awesome to reconnect that way and just, get to do some really good stuff, because we're involved in a lot of things, Bradford and I, and I always see sometimes it'll pop up in our stuff like, you and Tamara had awesome scenes today, and I don't know which ones they were because they were 5 months ago.
Right, so that's the hardest thing about days, I will say. Like you can't. It's hard to. You're like, oh, where am I?
And has it always been like that since 2008 when you joined?
Oh, not back then. It wasn't.
No?
I think it was pretty much the same as all the other shows back then. Anywhere from like 3 to 6 weeks or something ahead back then. It used to be like. Then I remember became like 3 months, and then it became 4 or 5 months. I think we are now at like 6 or 7 months ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy right now.
Yeah,
it's crazy. So
but
we're having fun.
What do you mean? What's going on?
Yeah, you can't even talk. You can't.
About.
Well, what's interesting is you can't talk about anything.
Right.
It's hard to market.
It's hard to market because when they got rid of the publicist and I think they're bringing another one on or something, you literally have to go back and go, hey, what was I doing then? Oh, that's when you and Ava were going to try to get Susan in England or wherever the heck we went for that. Yeah. It was just like you're trying to recall all these things, which I'm not great at. Tamara's better.
I don't remember.
Tamara's way better than I am. So, but
I have to ask the same thing, especially when interviews are going on. I was like, please send me a breakdown of where we are because I'm afraid I'm going to say what I'm not supposed to say.
Well, that's the thing.
Exactly.
It's like whatever was 4.5 months ago, which might seem like so long ago but like, yeah, you can spoil stuff from saying what happened 5 months ago. It's crazy.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, GH twice, Days twice. I mean, same character, but like, and all my children. How many daytime shows in all?
Just three different shows.
Three different shows. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, but Days has been. I've been back and forth on and off throughout the years.
Right.
You've been back and forth there.
And they would call me for short stints, so like come cause trouble. It was usually come cause trouble between Kayla and
beautiful Patch.
Patch
and Kayla, baby.
What a great ask. Come cause trouble. That's a great ask. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Well, this has been so lovely.
Tamara, thank you for joining us. We could have done a part 2 and 3 by the time we get to your other show.
That's right. That's right.
We could talk forever.
In the part that I forgot to record, we talked about how like, right when I first started, we were in each other's orbit because of people we worked with and whatnot. And so, but this was the first time I really got to know you in a way. And that's,
I know.
Thank you.
So nice.
It's awesome. Yeah. It's great to catch up.
Yes.
Right.
Continued success and great work as always.
Too. I'll see you.
See you at work. Okay.
But happy December holidays.
Yeah.
And
right.
Happy
happiness.
To you too.
There you go.
That's right. Happy.
Yeah. All right, you guys.
All right, Tamara.
Thanks, Tamara.
Have a good one.